Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson is a show about the journey of motherhood. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy, and I recently moved from the city to the burbs, and I have to say that I have had okay experiences with moving companies, one disastrous experience. And so I'm always so hesitant, and I pray that it's going to be a great experience. And this time I have to say I found the most amazing moving company, and they moved me twice, once for my storage locker, once for my apartment, and everything was so smooth. Nothing was broken. They had so much patience for me and my husband and everything going on. And so I wanted to have Olga Stankovich on the phone with me because she is going to talk about New York Nomads, which is her moving company, and offer some tips if you're planning a move right now, because we know how stressful it can be. They say moving is the third most stressful thing in your life. And especially if you have little ones, it is not easy. Olga, thank you so much for joining me today.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Michelle.
Sure. So New York Nomads is a family-owned and operated company, mostly in New York and the tri-state area. Tell me a little bit about the company.
Sure, yes. So we're family owned and operated. So myself and my husband, we started this company a little over 2 years ago, and we've been very blessed. Our family works with us. So we have George's dad, we have his uncle. So when we say family owned and operated, we really mean the family owned and operated.
Which you can tell. It's so nice. As soon as they show up, the synergy is there, and it's just such a friendly, welcoming, all that good stuff. I can't say enough about it. So let's get right into it. Tell me, for people who are planning their move, what are some tips that you can offer?
Sure. Well, so in the moving industry, we have a fun little saying: don't break your back, the bank, or a lamp. So essentially what this means is, you want to take your time with a move. So whether you're moving yourself or you're hiring movers, you want to minimize your costs as much as possible. And you just want to have an easygoing, fun experience, because you're rerouting your life and you're starting somewhere fresh. And so it should be fun. It should be a great experience. So I do have a few tips for you guys. You ready?
Yep, ready.
So to start, I can't stress this enough. Don't leave everything for the last minute. I'm guilty of this myself. I think we've all been here. Moving days around the corner, and the stress of it all makes it very easy to clam up because it's a big change. And let's face it, nobody likes change. And if you're anything like me, before I had this company, you're probably sitting there going, don't procrastinate. And you're saying that as the movers are physically arriving at your door. So instead of leaving the packing to one full weekend, which a lot of people think is doable, myself included, do try breaking it up. Pack a few boxes a day if you have to. Don't get overwhelmed. And most importantly, be honest with yourself. There's no shame in asking for packing help. Reach out to your movers. Schedule a packing day ahead of time so you don't have to handle everything yourself and get overwhelmed. Second thing is, and I know this may sound a bit silly and obvious, but I cannot tell you how many times people have tried to save on boxes by overpacking. And I know the thinking behind it is, well, the less boxes I have, the cheaper my quote will be, or the less I'll have to buy, or the less I'll have to lift. But really, overstacking really prolongs the process. And at the end of the day, it'll take you twice as long to move. Some boxes will end up being impossible to lift. So do try to make sure your small boxes are only used for books and heavy things, while the large boxes you want to really reserve for throw pillows, linens, and really soft things like that. If you can, this is about, saving money, schedule your move for the middle of the month. If you believe it or not, the beginning and the end of the month are very expensive dates for moving companies because there's such a high demand. Everybody wants those moving dates, and so all the trucks and all the manpower is going out on those dates. So if you can do something for the middle of the month, if you could work with your landlord, I do recommend it. You'll save a lot of money that way.
Yeah, that's smart. And so what else, when people are looking for a moving company, what should they look for?
Well, I wish there was sort of, just one thing you should be looking for. But at the end of the day, you're either looking at a big moving corporation or a small local business such as myself and my family. And I wish I could tell you one is better than the other, but the truth is it really depends on your moving situation and what you're looking for. Both have a lot of advantages and disadvantages. So hopefully this will be a little bit helpful for you. But here's the thing with large corporations and with smaller companies. Now, with large corporations, you may want this if you have a big move from a very high-rise building with a very high insurance liability element to it. And you know for a fact a big corporation is going to have that insurance. It's going to fit you in. But at the same time, with big companies like that, when this moving season starts in the summer, they're having a lot of requests, and they're so overworked that the demand is so high, they tend to outsource, and they tend to hire these smaller contractors to work for them. And unfortunately, at this point, you're really looking at quantity over quality, because these companies that are contracting to the big movers, they may not have very much experience. There's very little oversight. So there's some disadvantages there. And with local businesses, you're looking at a business is really going to focus exclusively on 1 to 2 moves per day. So they're dedicating 100% of their attention to your move on hand. And they also tend to pay workers a little more, which I hate to say it, but the amount of appreciation and pay the workers receive do impact the quality of the work. So with small businesses, you're guaranteed one-on-one attention that is hopefully more quality-oriented rather than quantity.
Right. I mean, I have to say that's what I found with working with you, the customer service. I dealt directly with you every time I had a question or I wanted to get my quote, and you were phenomenal. And I always knew that I had your email, I had your phone number, and it just made the process so much easier.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's the great part about it. With small businesses, local family-operated ones especially, they're available 24/7. So if you have a strange moving question at 2 in the morning, I've had customers call me Sunday night and they're always so apologetic. Oh, I'm so sorry to bother you at this time. And of course, it's no problem. This is what we do. So you're not going to have that 9 to 5, business operated schedule. You're free to call anytime. So that is definitely a great advantage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was nice because I usually don't get anything done until after my daughter goes to sleep at 8 o'clock at night. So to be able to send you an email late at night, and I was surprised to get a response at night. That was really nice. Tell me, when people are packing their own stuff, when they're getting their boxes ready, what are some things that they should keep in mind?
Sure. Well, you want to stick with moving boxes. I know it's very tempting to reuse grocery or liquor store boxes, but they simply aren't designed to hold the weight intended. It's very frequently they break. So do stick with moving boxes. Save yourself the headache of damages or boxes breaking apart in the middle of your move, having to pick everything up. And if organization isn't your thing, I know a lot of people like to label boxes, but for others like myself, it's way too much to remember. But if you can remember labeling at least one box, right, you can call this the open first box. And these are things you'll need right after a move. Soap, towels, bed sheets, toilet paper, so you don't have to go, looking at all the boxes, opening everything up, things you don't need. So believe it or not, that's actually very helpful.
Yes, it is. And it's funny because my husband and I differ a lot on this. He's all about just throwing everything into a box and getting it out. And I'm like, but then I'm not going to know where anything is when I get to where I'm going. And he says, oh, you'll figure it out when you get there. And that drives me crazy because then you're in your new place. And like you said, it's difficult as it is. And then not knowing where anything is, it could just drive you crazy.
Right. Yeah, everyone is different. Everyone is different with that. Not all of us are organizational.
Exactly. But I like your idea of open this box first, because then you're not having to worry about everything, but at least you have your essentials where they need to be.
The open first box never fails.
Right. Great advice. So tell me, where can people get more information on you, your family's company, and if they're looking to make a move in the New York tri-state area, tell me where you service exactly.
Sure. Well, we service Manhattan, the Bronx. We service Queens. We'll even go out to New Jersey if that's something that you need. It's not very far. Even as far as Pennsylvania, we could do. We try to stay local because we want to put our efforts into the move at hand. We don't want to have too many moves, going too many different places, but anything local within New York we will handle. We have a website, which is very easy to navigate. It's very easy to remember, nynomadsmoving.com. And if you visit the website, you'll find a link where it says get your quote, and you just fill in your information. It sends us right over to our email address, and I call back immediately. And from then, I can get on the phone with you. Some people like to schedule in-house estimates. Some people like to send pictures of their apartment space. Some people like to send inventory lists. So we're very flexible, whatever works for our customers. Our goal is really just to get a quote going to you as fast and as easy as possible.
Yeah. And that is so nice that you offer to come to the apartment or the home to give an in-person estimate, because sometimes it's hard to show by pictures or to really describe what you have. So that's a really nice service as well. And again, I can't thank you enough for making the move so smooth for me and my family, for everything arriving in one piece and wrapped perfectly. And again, just the customer service and the patience of your family and your staff is wonderful. Thank you so much, Olga. Olga Stankovich, thank you so much for joining me today from New York Nomads. I really appreciate you taking the time. More coming up in a few. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson. Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson is a show about the journey of motherhood. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
I have with me my good friend and comic, Marshall Stevenson, and I love talking with him about just different things that we're going through together, because he has a beautiful daughter, Nina, who's a few months older than my daughter, Eden, and we would get together so often and they'd play together. And then more recently, I moved out of the big city of New York and into the suburbs of Connecticut. And I enrolled my daughter in daycare, something that I had not done for 2 years. I loved being home with my daughter. I loved bringing her to play dates and to the park and to music classes and all kinds of classes and meeting other parents. And a few days ago, I let her go for 8 hours at a time. Marshall, I had so many mixed feelings when I did this.
Yeah, daycare is one of these complicated things because we don't discuss it honestly, because most people need to go to work. And so they need to put their kid in daycare. And so who is anybody to say that that's not the right thing? And then people just are wowed by how their verbal skills improve. And everyone says daycare is great, except that people who have the luxury of not having to do daycare have one parent who can stay home. And then they're like, man, it was such a gift to be able to stay home with my child. Well, which is it? We can't have that discussion, right?
Right, exactly. It's very tough because I would try to have it with my brother, who has had both of his kids in daycare since they were 3 months old. And I couldn't fathom that, especially the first year. I thought, oh my gosh, all the germs and who wants to just dump your kid off somewhere all day? And now my mixed feelings are that, number one, I see how much she's doing there in a day. I see that she does art and she has her dolls and she goes to the playground and she gets to do all these things while I get some time to myself to get things done. And I thought, you know what, with this being my last month of pregnancy before my world turns upside down again, let me enroll her so that I can get the things done that I need to get done during the day. But I was very sad to drop her off. But I felt relieved when I picked her up because she was so excited and she seemed like she had had a nice day. However, I have to tell you, day 4, she woke up this morning sick. And not that she hasn't gotten sick when not in daycare, but I'm like, here we go. Had a fever,
well,
had a cold.
I do want to say that everything that I've read is that, being exposed to all the germs, if anything, it's good for them. It builds up their immunity, and only the beginning of daycare do they get sick a lot. It's good for them. That part of it, I think, you shouldn't worry about. at
Yeah,
all.
I guess not.
Part of it that you should be worried about is, like, who knows if it's better to be in daycare or to actually have a parent at home with the kid. One of them has to be better. Well, I suppose it depends on the parent.
I don't know. I think they're both could be good because, it's funny. They send me this whole itinerary, this curriculum that they do with them all day. And they did this, which means they learned this, and they did this, and they did this. And it's like supposed to make us feel really good. And I'm thinking, like, yeah, basically she had a snack. She went to play outside. She painted. She ate. She slept. She repeat. Like it's glorified kind of babysitting with activities. I just don't know. I mean, I think some of these curriculums are great. I don't know if at 2 they need this. I think it is good for her to just be around other people, I guess, on a consistent basis. But I think if you're an active parent and you're there and you're loving your child every day, and it's not like you sit home with them day in and day out, you do things. I think that's wonderful too, to offer that.
Also, like, the real creative spirit comes out when children are actually bored. So, to be honest with you, we went to a bunch of, like, story times and play times and these 1-hour packaged play group kind of things where they do, they read a story for 5 minutes, they do bubbles for 5 minutes, they wave a wand in the air for 5 minutes, they roll for 5 minutes, and I'm not so sure that an hour of go play by yourself, honey, isn't, like, also really good. The curriculum, like, they don't need, some people like, I'm going to have them the smartest kid in the world. I'm going to have them do flashcards. They're going to have multiplication tables when they're 6 months. I don't think any of that does any good at all. I think it's just like explore and, talk to them. And I don't think any of that does any good. I'm just like stuck on the fact that daycare has its benefits, clearly. But if you don't need it, is it so good you should do it anyway? Let's say money's not an issue. Let's say, so all of these benefits that you tick off, they're real benefits. I get it. But do they only look rosy because everything else fits in? Like, I get to go to work, I get to do my stuff, I get to make money for my family, and she's in this great curriculum of whatever you said, overblown, exaggerated daycare, babysitting, whatever. Is it better than being at home? And, like, I'm home, I run a business at night, we have the luxury of having me home. Would it be better if she was in daycare? I don't know.
I don't know. That was the big debate that my husband and I always had.
All things being equal, you put them in daycare. You have to.
Right. Same here. My business is flexible. I didn't have to work during the day. Sure. Did I not have the hours that I could have used to put into it with her home? Absolutely. But at the same time, my husband always said, she should be in daycare to be socialized, and she's not socialized. And I never agreed with him with that because, like I said, we've had tons of play dates. She is gone to my gym, has a daycare for 2 hours a day so I can go work out. She's around kids every day. I think there's still plenty of opportunity for children to be socialized without having to go to daycare.
All right, and what about if it's a lousy daycare? I'm not even talking about daycares where you hit them with frying pans, but I'm talking about just these daycares where they send you this curriculum that sounds like they're going a little MIT, and it turns out that it's just like a bunch of people who are plopped down on chairs who are completely not paying attention to the kids.
Right, exactly. And I was really worried about that. And I asked the one where she is now if there's video monitoring, because I believe in some that you can watch them on video from your phone, but they said no, they only do pictures because of privacy. And so you get a little glimpse into what they're doing throughout the day, but you don't really see what's going on. Like, I'd like to know why all of a sudden, at home she naps. She's a great napper, naps for 3 to 4 hours at a time. There, she's lucky if she naps an hour, which is upsetting because I'm like, well, clearly she's not comfortable. Something's, it's going to throw off the schedule that she's used to and that I'm used to. And, I guess we just have to adapt to it. But is it the best thing for her health?
She might just be stimulated. I mean, that makes sense that she wouldn't be napping. It doesn't mean they're abusing her, which is what this suggests.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying,
it's some terrible place where she's uncomfortable and she's not napping. So she's actually, I want to ask you this, we're looking at going to school in September. So effectively, it's the same thing. It's like, she's going to be 2.5 because of the city, the way they do it with the birthdays. She's eligible for this new 3K in our district. And so she's going to go to school. It's free. Her grandmother doesn't think she can handle a whole day.
I think she can. I was worried about that too.
All my friends are sending kids to daycare starting at 3 months. At 2.5, she should be able to handle 6.5 hours.
Yes. And I have to say that was my concern too. When I dropped her off the first day, I thought I've never been away from her for 8 hours at a time. And I was wondering how she would do. And she did great. So I think your daughter will be just fine. I think she will get used to it. It'll be a new environment that she'll adapt to. And, she'll be fine. I feel like kids that age, they really adapt to new environments fairly easily.
Which brings us back to the point then. So is daycare when you're 1 year old good if you can adapt to it? Because they would say, it's good about socialization. It's so great because it'd be with other kids. Like if you don't have it at 3 years old, do you catch up? Do you figure out socialization when you go to school?
I think so. I mean, I didn't go to daycare. I remember I just started preschool at 3, and I'd like to think I turned out okay. And so,
well, you're on the radio, see?
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, that's another. I don't know that if I turned out
verbal skills are improved. Think if you had gone to daycare, just how good your verbal skills would be.
But no, and you also have to consider as a family, if you don't have to go to daycare because maybe only one parent's working or maybe one's working part-time, daycare is not inexpensive either. So do you want to take that money and put it towards them when they're 2 years old, or do you want to save it for a college fund? I think there's a lot of different ways.
That scenario doesn't actually. Usually, I would say a vast majority of cases, you're choosing either daycare or a parent taking care of the child based on your own finances.
Right.
Right now, daycare for us would be more expensive because it would take me away from the few hours that I can work and take care of her. And, if she were in daycare, I would get more time to work. But we would also have to pay $25,000 a year in daycare.
Right, which is insane, which is another reason why we never enrolled her in the city because it was so expensive there. Here in Connecticut, it's about half the price, a little more than half the price. But still, it's still money out of your pocket.
All right, so the bottom line is daycare. The money is not an object. You have all the ability to do either one. What's better? Does it depend on how good the daycare is? Like the best daycare. Okay, let's put the best daycare against the best parent and the worst daycare against the worst parent.
I don't think there is a better, honestly. I think as a full-time parent whose only option is daycare, like you said, of course, they're going to rave about it because they have to. And then they put their kids in daycare very early on. And then they see, yes, this is great for the child. The same way maybe I'm seeing that now, like, wow, this is really good for her. But does that mean that all the time I spent with her in these last 2 years before daycare wasn't? Absolutely not. I cherish that time. And I know that really helped build the bond between us. And I was able to bring her to these great music classes and great art classes that maybe, even though they do these projects every day in daycare, it's not necessarily the music program if you enroll her in other types of music programs that are very educational based. So I don't know. I don't really think one's better than the other.
Listen, while we tried to get this answer, and it's because we're not allowed to talk about it, right? What are the advantages of keeping them home with you? Are they closer to you? Is it all because of your need to be with the child more? Like, we talked about all the advantages of daycare. What are the advantages of keeping a kid home? It's certainly not that music class, because apparently you get the music class and then some in daycare. So what is it? You do
and you don't. I mean, you have music. They have little instruments that they break out that you can play, but I don't think it's a music class like we would take her to. I think the separate music classes are a lot different and maybe a little more advanced. Not advanced, that's not the right word, but a little more focused on the music than what you'd get in daycare.
Right. Well, I haven't taken her any music classes. So what are the advantages to keeping a kid home with you? If we're going to make all these advantages, we're listing them for daycare. Mm-hmm. Hi, sweetheart. I'm on the radio. Hold on. I can't. How many times have I been on with you that I was just waiting to say that?
I know. And I think it's wonderful to have her home. I really do. I think there are tons of advantages. You build the bonds between the two of you you can monitor a little bit more what's going on. I don't know. I just feel, especially in the first year, I'm just so afraid to put them in daycare with all of the germs. That's a big thing for me.
Oh, the germs. And germs are good for them.
To a point.
Germs, no, not to a point. I mean, maybe if there's Ebola there, but what kind of daycare center are you sending her to? There's Ebola. But
I don't know. Somebody just sent around an email the other day on one of the Facebook groups up here in Connecticut saying, oh, it was MRSA at one of the kids in my kid's 2-year-old program. I'm like, great.
Well, it is a deadly disease, but most daycare centers, you build up immunity. Sound like where are you going to daycare? Liberia? You found a nice place, affordable place, kind, caring people in Liberia?
I know. Well, the debate goes on, Marshall. I think you're doing a wonderful thing by keeping your daughter home. I think I've done a wonderful thing, and it's been wonderful to be able to have these 2 years to really bond with our children. There's a time and a place for daycare, for school, for everything. And I'm of the belief, I do not think that not sending them to daycare hinders them at all socially. Where can people go to see what you're up to if they're headed to New York?
Oh, well, we run tours at tourguidesofnewyork.com, and look out soon for my performances. So we don't have any booked for the next month, but stay tuned, and we'll keep you posted.
Awesome, because Marshall is busy with his daughter, and it's a fine balance between getting out there and performing.
It's an awful balance. It's a terrible balance. I should have put her in daycare. What are you kidding?
No. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy. More coming up in a few.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson.
Recently, I had to move from New York City to Connecticut, and I've dealt with movers before and not had great experiences, unfortunately. But I was recommended to New York Nomads. And I have to say, this was the best moving experience I have ever had. They kept my items so safe. They were so patient. They worked so diligently. I can't say enough good things about them. They are a family-owned and operated moving company servicing mainly New York and the tri-state area. So if you're looking to move to New York or somewhere in the tri-state area, you have to check them out. They believe the corporate nature of the moving industry takes all the fun out of moving. They say, after all, moving means an exciting new start. So believing that moving should be a friendly, pleasant, and easygoing experience, they strive to provide the same quality of care that they would like to see for their own family. And like most New Yorkers, they do best what they know best. They keep moving. So call or email them today for a free in-house estimate or online quote. You can find them at nynomadsmoving.com. That's nynomadsmoving.com, or email them info@nynomadsmoving.com. You can also reach them at 929-339-6670. That's 929-339-6670. New York Nomads Moving.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson is a show about the journey of motherhood. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
So we were talking earlier about homeopathic remedies when you're sick. Well, along those lines of being natural, I love to use natural cleaning products and as many natural products as I can for my family, especially because I have a little girl who is 2 years old. So with me, I have Kasey Ciesiensky. She is a redheaded mompreneur who wants to live in a world without harsh chemical fumes and fake fragrances. She first began researching ingredients in conventional cleaners and personal care products over 7 years ago while she was pregnant with her firstborn. She didn't like what she learned, so she decided to start living a more natural lifestyle, starting with what she used to clean her home. Hi, Kasey. How are you?
Hi, Michelle. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Tell me a little bit about Red's Gone Green. I love the title, and obviously appropriate if you are redheaded.
I am, and thank you for asking. We sell all natural cleaners that are deliciously fragrant. So like I said, I had started researching what was in conventional cleaners. After actually an epiphany on my kitchen floor, I was 4 months pregnant with my firstborn. I was cleaning the kitchen floor, and I thought, I honestly thought, logically, how do moms do this with a baby crawling at their feet? Like, how do you actually clean a house? Because I don't want my child around these fumes. And then what if there's a toddler and they want to help me? I don't want them to use this stuff that I'm using to help me clean, but I want to help train them to help me clean and take over one day. So I didn't know how moms actually do that. And so I started looking into all the cleaners, what's actually in these things. And and how do they make them? And then I didn't like what I saw. So I started looking around for a more natural approach or a natural way to clean my house, and I didn't really like what I found on the market. So I started making my own. And then one day a friend was like, well, why don't you sell these? And I was like, no. But I was like, maybe so. And then I started to do that, and Red's Gone Green took off. And that was a little over 7 years ago. And so since then, I've just been researching all the different things to use to clean and essential oils, and have kind of played with the formulation until I got it exactly the way I want to. So we have several different fragrances and an all-purpose cleaner and a natural stone granite cleaner and an all-natural cleansing scrub.
That's amazing. And I know some people could be skeptical and say, well, how can they really clean my countertops and my floors with natural cleaner? But you really can. Tell me about some of the ingredients that go into your products besides the essential oils.
Well, the distilled grain alcohol, distilled water, and then there's a distilled grain alcohol. And distilled grain alcohol is a known disinfectant. And then essential oils, and really that's it, the simple ingredients. Essential oils, I'm sure your listeners know that's kind of a buzzword these days, but not only do they provide natural fragrance, which is amazing, the smells of them, but a lot of them have natural antibacterial and antiviral properties. A lot of them are, like you've heard of aromatherapy, and so lavender, for example, is very relaxing when you smell it. So our lavender vanilla scent is our biggest seller, and so when you're spraying with it, I have a lot of customers who say, it smells like I'm in a spa, which is great because I'm a mom of 4, and I'm cleaning all the time, all day long.
Right.
So it's just kind of a perk in my day. You know, cleaning's not the greatest, glorious thing, but when you have something that smells so good and you're spraying it down your countertops after every time you eat, it's just nice that, like, a kind of a break in your day and just a relaxing, like, breath of fresh air.
Right. I agree with you because just the other day I used your product to scrub my countertop and I thought, ooh, this smells really nice. And like you said, if you're going to have to clean, you may as well enjoy it. And you also use vinegar and baking soda, which are great for cleaning and scrubbing, deodorizing.
Yes, our cleansing scrub has a base of baking soda in it. And baking soda is it's just great for everything. I still am learning the benefits for baking soda. But it's great to make like an all-natural scrub. If someone wanted just to make a simple cleaner at home, just a spray cleaner and a scrub, which is really, for the most part, what you need in your house. So you can make a vinegar and water spray, albeit it's not going to smell the greatest because vinegar is quite strong. But you could do half vinegar, half water, and just do a simple spray for your countertops. Vinegar is a known disinfectant, and it cuts grease really well. And then a baking soda, if you just got some baking soda, just from, Arm & Hammer that you buy at the store, and just add a little water, you can make a paste, and you can clean your sink out of that, scrub your tile grout, because we know we all do that on a daily basis.
Right.
Our cleansing scrub has a little more than baking soda, some sodium percarbonate, which is like an oxygen bleach, and some other different ingredients in there to kind of make it give it more of a punch. The things I've played around with and have found that I like for deodorizing and cleansing benefits.
So where can people go to find more information on Red's Gone Green?
Well, we have an online boutique, and that's redsgonegreen.com, redsgonegreen.com. We're up on Instagram as Red's Gone Green, and Facebook is Red's Gone Green. So that's where we are socially.
Kasey, thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to using more of your products. No more commercial products for me. I'm Michelle Jerson. Have a great rest of your day.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson.
Recently, I had to move from New York City to Connecticut, and I've dealt with movers before and not had great experiences, unfortunately, but I was recommended to New York Nomads. And I have to say, this was the best moving experience I have ever had. They kept my items so safe. They were so patient. They worked so diligently. I can't say enough good things about them. They are a family-owned and operated moving company servicing mainly New York and the tri-state area. So if you're looking to move to New York or somewhere in the tri-state area, you have to check them out. They believe the corporate nature of the moving industry takes all the fun out of moving. They say, after all, moving means an exciting new start. So believing that moving should be a friendly, pleasant, and easygoing experience, they strive to provide the same quality of care that they would like to see for their own family. And like most New Yorkers, they do best what they know best. They keep moving. So call or email them today for a free in-house estimate or online quote. You can find them at nynomadsmoving.com. That's nynomadsmoving.com, or email them info@nynomadsmoving.com. You can also reach them at 929-339-6670. That's 929-339-6670. New York Nomads Moving.